over the months and the years ahead. Canada's choice has become razor sharp between shared prosperity on one hand and rising inequality on the other. And the job ahead is pretty clear. You can ask my sister, Christine Kistner, the Vice President of AFL-CIO Council 40 from Wisconsin, who's here with you. You see, we have to reshape our economies so that every last one of our brothers and sisters can work safely and with dignity, so that every worker can bring home a fair share of the wealth that we produce, so that everyone who works hard for a lifetime, whether in a grocery store, a factory, or on a farm, can live with the protections of a union contract and aspire to a secure retirement and a better life for their children and for their grandchildren. And I promise you this, as you rise to the opportunity before you, your brothers and sisters to the South will be proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with you and with every single working man and working woman in Canada. Earlier this year, when Wisconsin, Governor Scott Walker turned budget hysteria into a weapon against Wisconsin teachers and nurses and first responders, you were at our side. You said to us, "What can we do?" You said to us, "We're there for you, brother." You said to us, "We're there for you, sister, whatever you need." And then as the days turned to weeks and the weeks turned into more than a month, the Canadian labor movement answered every promise that you made with action. Your word is your seal. And on behalf of the 12.5 million working men and women of the AFL-CIO, on behalf of our union leaders at the national and state and local level, on behalf of the hard-working organizers and researchers and other professionals of the labor movement in the United States, and on behalf of those teachers and nurses and firefighters and snowplow drivers in Wisconsin and elsewhere, I want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. You see, in our solidarity is our strength. And here's our word to you. We'll be there for you whenever you call, every single time that you need us. For as long as you need us, we will be with you as you were with us, and that's our promise to each and every one of you. And our bar for measuring progress will not be the profits of multinational corporations, but the number and the quality of jobs, good jobs around the world. Now let me ask you something. How many of you here got a 23% raise last year? Raise your hand. Go ahead, raise your hand if your local union took in 81% more money last year. Raise your hand. How many of you have earned 343 times more what your coworkers earn? See, last year, the average pay of a corporate CEO in the United States went up 23%. These CEOs make 343 times more than the median worker earned. And profits at Standard & Poor 500 companies rose 81% last year. And it's the same story here in Canada. Working families, our communities, are struggling. And they say, those workers are angry. Well, hell yes, we're angry. We're working harder for less. The rules have been changed on us, and our identities as middle-class societies are being threatened right now. Too many of our leaders haven't focused on jobs. Instead, we've seen our politics corrupted by billionaires, pouring cash into elections so that they can buy the best politicians that corporate profits can buy, who have used fear and economic insecurity in a bid to dismantle our social safety nets and ultimately to divide working people. In the States, they say to private sector workers, look at these public sector workers, they have a pension. You don't. Shouldn't we take it away from them? Meanwhile, our union membership in the private sector in the United States has dropped to just below 8%. Ideas that at first seemed radical, but quickly became standard. Ideas like helping factory workers organize. Ideas like having a colorblind union movement. Ideas like helping factory workers and bargaining for pensions. Ideas that to us today seem so very obvious. Now those ideas, the ideas that we created and quite frankly forced our countries to implement, well, they allowed millions of workers to form unions and to lift ourselves and our families into the middle class. Once again today, we're breaking ground by returning to basic principles, creating new models together for a truly comprehensive and global labor movement, one that can protect workers from Milwaukee to Juarez, from Vancouver to Beijing, and from Toronto to Bogota. And the example is the entire global labor movement has committed to workers in Europe, in Africa, Asia, and the Americas at one multinational corporation, that's Deutsche Telekom, so that all of its workers can demand in a dozen languages that it honor the same basic rights around the world that that company honors in Germany itself.